Welcome back to Goldenridge. Despite a few recording issues, we've got a lot to show. Today, we're building a custom Riverside park and creating our most unique urban residential neighborhood yet. So, let's get to work. All right, so before we dive into things, I had a little bit of a technical issue and did not get any of the real-time audio that I recorded while filming this last episode. So there's going to be a bit of a mix of me trying to recreate some of the things I was saying, along with probably just some time-lapse stuff and me kind of talking over it. So this one's going to be a bit of an outlier, but starting off, I just wanted to go over some of the things I filled in last time, mainly this whole area with all sorts of details and surfaces. We also got some names in, so this is the Sutter Depot due to all of the transit options that are housed here. And then also we named this kind of area up here on the point, the Western Financial. So, and then this is now the Pacific Point. So, this area I'm still super happy with from last time, and I tried to transition it a little bit from that with this kind of row house district area that has a mix of older and newer looking row houses, as well as some kind of mid to high rise apartment buildings and stuff. So you can see I'm kind of going over about where I tried to transition these areas between older and newer, and I think it kind of works, but I don't know that it totally does. I think these mid-rise, smaller new buildings really help, but I do really like this kind of row and this view sitting here in the front right on the water. I think that'd be awesome places to live. I didn't want everything to be like super fancy, so just a couple of multi-level flat apartments on the coast here. And then I also was really liking all the detail here and kind of cluttering up this area. I think we need more clutter in this game. I hope that comes with the asset manager once that is actually a thing, or the custom assets. And so all this kind of junk and clutter stuff in here just feels really awesome, and I think is the kind of stuff you see tucked away to these little spaces along urban train routes. So that's feeling really good. All these surfaces are feeling really good. And yeah, we basically got everything filled in to where the edge of that train track goes. And then we also filled in Pacific Point, or the Western Financial here, with surfaces and parking and some trees, and got most of kind of this feeling in. And then I also was really liking this kind of area here, that we got some trees and some buildings in there. And then there's just kind of this dead zone of just kind of dirt, not manicured, not landscaped, but just kind of left over. I think there's pockets of that, so I think that is feeling really good over in this area. So this is kind of what I had done just in between episodes while I was putzing around, kind of just poking around at some detailed stuff and figuring out how to fill the gaps. And so then today, I kind of had left a lot of open space along the river here and cleaned out a bunch of trees. So I want to figure out exactly how we fill in these river areas, because this is working, but I'm not loving it, and I think we can do something a little better. I like the idea of this kind of urban forest river thing, but it just, I don't know, it's not sitting quite right with me. So I think today we're going to get in here and try to figure some other stuff out. I also cleared out stuff around the train area, the train station, and I want to bring this road across here so that we can fill that other space in with some light industry and some stuff that might look like it's kind of part of the train industry on this kind of cliff side here. So we'll get that in here, and we'll replace a lot of these trees along the river here. And I have some ideas that are kind of inspired by this area over here. I kind of came up with this while I was filling in this area, and I think it, in a different way, it was kind of inspired by the Chicago River because of the way that it has like so many layers going through. Obviously, it doesn't have this kind of green space, but there are street level, there's stuff below the street, there's stuff right on the water, and so I wanted to drop in kind of a little lunch restaurant kind of commercial area here that I thought would be good. So I'm looking through the leisure stuff here, and this kind of crab shack building, I think would be cool to get in down here and give people a little place for lunch. I think getting layers in, and I've talked about this before, but not having everything be, you know, even if the land itself is flat, getting these kind of steps in these elevated sections with key walls and just different ways to create elevation differences really goes a long way to making cities feel a little more dynamic and a little more interesting. So now we just have to figure out how to get kind of the roads down here. So I was kind of looking at where we want this road to come from, and I think we can make it work kind of coming in through here, but we're going to have to somehow, that already messed that whole thing up. So we're just going to go through and let's just get rid of this and just kind of start over here. So we'll just draw this in, get that lined up almost, maybe there it is. And then I think we can sneak a little road in. Let's see. We want to keep that parking lot area. So I think if we just started off with a little alleyway here, and then we can come down from the alley there. That maybe we do it though. Let's see if we can curve it around like that, kinda. That's looking a little funky, but overall I think that's working. So we can put our parking lot back here and get that in. We'll lose a couple of spots, but I think that's going to be okay. And then let's see if we can maneuver this a little bit. And let's see if we can just... This is almost working. It's a little... Oh boy. It's a little funky, but we just need to massage some of this around. And then kind of just up here. And stretch this out, and boy, yeah, I guess we straighten it out. That might work a bit better. And then see if we can't. Let's see. Get the key wall in here. I think will help a bit, and then let's just try and see if we can kind of get these other roads in here. So we'll put one down here. And parking one, maybe. Yeah, let's actually do the parking, because that way we can kind of get a little localized parking in here. So that'll make sense for kind of the restaurant parking. And this parking lot above will be for some of these, you know, these office buildings up above. So I don't know if we can extend and get a couple of more spots. It looks like we cannot. So now we just have to wrap this around and connect it to our parking lot road here. And then it's looking a little funky on that ramp, but I think if we just delete this middle section and redraw it, I think a lot of the stuff in this game, you just have to kind of draw out what you want, and then it's going to be funky, and then you just kind of go back piece by piece once you figured out exactly how you want things to be. So if we just flatten this down and then redraw that ramp, it's going to be way smoother than when you try to draw the whole thing the first time. We'll get our key walls on and our slope on, and there it is. Way smoother than it was on the initial draw. So I think overall this is working out really well. So this is kind of what I had in mind for this area. I just wanted to kind of create a little bit of green space, a little bit of kind of a unique, you know, lunch area, place for people to come, hang out, sit by the river, take lunch from their office. And then I wanted to get a little seating area in the back. So I'm just going to go through and detail this up a bit, and then we'll check in here in a few. All right, so I think that is working out really nicely. So now I want to move over to the river over here. So yeah, I think the first thing we're going to do here is just kind of get rid of all of these trees and rocks and everything that we've had going on here for the last however many episodes since we kind of started this city in here. I just want to clean all this out and try something a little different here. I liked like I said earlier, I liked the natural looking river here going through the city. I thought it created kind of a cool natural look, but it just, I don't know if it was the execution of how I did it or what, but I just was not really liking it. So I want to try some other things, but the first thing I want to do is use a suggestion from my friend Deanna and add in a skate park under the highway here, because I think this is a great place to use this really cool skate park asset. And under highways, overpasses, and kind of just in these weird spaces is often where you will find skate parks, or so I have been told by said friend Deanna. So we are going to get this in here right underneath, and then in terms of how we are going to connect it, because it does have a road on the side here, on the long side, unfortunately not the short side. So we're just going to scoot this over a bit, and I think if let's see, we'll just get a road coming off of, we'll just kind of continue this road with a non-parking lot road area right from the middle here. And let's see, do we want to just run this across? Yeah, I guess at least for now, without the key wall, obviously, we'll just run this in right about here, I think will work. And then we can take a alleyway and just kind of slide it in this little area here to kind of get us going to the skate park. So I think that is going to be a nice use of that. Usually I just do parking lots or kind of like barren lots under the highway area, but I think the skate park is going to work out really nicely and just kind of create a little bit of a hidden Easter egg there. So and then for the rest of the kind of thing over here, I'm thinking about the layers again, as we were just kind of looking back. And I think what I'm thinking about here is kind of going with a walkway along this lower area. So the question now is, do we use this kind of the short kind of regular walkway, or do we go with the, it can be elevated, obviously, something like that. You could also, do the elevated key wall version of it, or the kind of the stilts version of it. And I mean, that I think works. It's not super heavy, so we could also try using the walkway, the one-way pedestrian road, or just the pedestrian roads like we did along the kind of Vancouver area. So the small pedestrian walkway or the big pedestrian walkway might be a little too heavy, and then we've also got the small one that for some reason is kind of only one way. I don't know why we can't just have a smaller two-way version, but that's what we have. So let's try this larger pedestrian walkway here and see if we can kind of make this work, because I think kind of making this kind of a pedestrian park type of green space where people can come and hang out and take a walk by the river. It can still be, a natural green space looking area, but not quite as urban as something like the Chicago River, for example. So somewhere in between. So let's just bring this out along here and get our key wall on the side. But I think we want to make it kind of bendy, because that's what worked really well for us on the Vancouver coastline area. But kind of working it around like this, and that's not really bending up. If you're going to go bendy with stuff, you have to go with more of a bend. You can't quite be that subtle about it, or it does end up feeling a little weird. You got to really, you know, kind of go or straight. Let's try full on straight with it. And think, let's see if we can maybe raise it up a little here. And obviously it's hard to, it can be hard to tell early without a lot more of the detail added. You know, when you just kind of start throwing this stuff down, it always feels a little janky until you get a lot more of that stuff built in. So let's see. Tighten it in here a little bit. Maybe not. I'm just gonna find the right spot for it here. We zoom out a little bit. It looks a little kind of plain and boring from all the way out here, which is honestly where we're going to be looking at it the most from. Is, you know, a bit of some distance on it. So, all right, let's go through here and just detail this up a bit and see if we like it a little more once it's a little more official looking. Okay, so I ended up kind of trying something else as well with the curvy road here and trying a little bit of both. So I think that this obviously suddenly looks much better now that it is fully detailed up. I think having a straight, wide walkway like this kind of does work, but just from out here, it just feels, I don't know, a little boring. This, on the other hand, I think feels a lot more interesting, a lot more urban planning, designy. Kind of modern city looking. And I think it looks way better from up here. So I'm also wondering though if it's a little too thin. I think we kind of maybe need something in the middle. I do like the way that this looks all detailed up with all the trees and everything like that. That right there, I think close up looks good. It's just from far away, I'm not loving it. So let's get rid of this and try using the one-way pedestrian walkway that is just kind of somewhere in the middle in terms of visual weight. I think this, even without the key walls and just kind of throwing that in there, we can get these key walls on here though. That already kind of feels like a good, happy medium between the really flat, thick, heavy one and the kind of the really narrow walkway. But I wonder if because this is just a little bit in between, and I don't think it matters that it's one way necessarily, but it would be great if it wasn't. I wonder if this is an opportunity for the road builder mod, and I wonder if we can get in here and switch this up. So let's see. So we've got walking, and then this does work for, can we just flip? We can't flip that around. Like it's funky for a second. So now these are going in the same way. We just add, let's see, walkway, pedestrian. I think if we can just add in this pedestrian lane, and then hopefully this won't crash, because that has happened a few times. Let's see, we can just delete the car lane. And then these are going the same direction now. So I think, let's see, we can flip that around, but I don't think I'm not sure if that's actually a walking area. So let's just, I think we can throw in maybe another pedestrian section here. And we can flip that. We get rid of this. And then flip one of these walkways. Oh, it looks like they actually are both going opposite ways. So that's what we want. That feels like a much better width and size and kind of walkway area. I think this is going to work out much better. So let's go ahead and lay this down. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. I think this looks like a good combination of natural, not natural, but green space and kind of an organic riverfront, but also looking like it was a city. And there's lots of great walking spaces, place for kids to litter and smoke the reefer. And overall, I think this is really feeling much, much better. So we can look at this train area now, and I just kind of wanted to get some industry in here. That's our demand is basically entirely for industry, because I built a ton of residential that is not all entirely full yet. So kind of planning ahead. So we're going to need, and we have obviously lots of offices, although we still do have a little bit of office demand. But really the demand right now is for industry. So we can kind of sneak industry in wherever we can is going to be good. And I also just wanted to, again, try to have a lot of variation on the riverfront, and really trying to fill in every kind of nook and cranny. And I think that this will be a cool place to slide some stuff in, and also help the train station not feel like it's such right on the edge of town, but make it feel a little more integrated into the downtown itself. I think this will just kind of help with that. So we've got our little road in here, just kind of making it work around the bases, and then we're just going to look for some industry here that I think we're gonna, get these to fit in here. And these are about 4 deep, which I think is a little long. So I think we're gonna end up going with width here, and sneaking in some stuff kind of at every angle we can, and filling up as much of this area as possible. So let's put one of these right about here, and let's see what else we can fit in to this area. What we might do actually now is switch and get some side roads in, and that way we create a little variation, as well as get some different buildings going some different directions. So we can kind of go with depth instead of width here, and really get these nice and tight up on the edge of this riverbank here. So let's see if we can just kind of make this fit right where these do not always like to rotate the way you want them to, but we're definitely not going to do one with a chimney. So let's try and find another one. I probably should download that clean industry mod, because even if I'm not zoning, I think it sections it up in the find it menu, so that you can kind of pull some of those. This is not going to quite fit underneath, but it will fit right next to there. So yeah, I think this is already looking pretty good. I think we can fit a couple more in here just to make this kind of as dense as we can. Just get a nice little warehouse mini industry section. This is not going to do much for our industry demand. I know I was kind of calling it out, but I think every little bit helps, and I think this makes sense, and it does kind of flank our train station nice. And we've got our tower up here, which let's just go ahead and rename this Sutro Tower, since we've already renamed the hill Sutro Hill. It does not have the style and design as the one of San Francisco, but it's what we have, and it'll do. And it is certainly a noticeable icon of this city. So now, in terms of the riverbed itself, let's go ahead and smooth some of this out. This just looks a little janky over here, and kind of smooth out some of these edges and create a little bank lower on the water level. I find that helps make the cliffs look a little more realistic, but they still do have that weird kind of tiling, repetitive pattern. You can smooth it out a bit, but it still is there. I mean, it's better, but it just has the light hits it super weird. So I do think also just the way the light is hitting it is weird, and if you just rotate this a little bit, even that really helps a lot, because now as soon as you take the light away, it still looks a little janky, just the kind of the shape of the earth, but that looks much better, especially just smooth the tops of this out a bit. I don't know that there would really be warehouses this close to a 20-30 foot drop like that, but it's what's happening here. So I really wanted the river in the city, and I think that one thing I didn't really anticipate was how weird it would be to have such a sunken river and not kind of a river at the actual height of the city. So something to learn from, but I still am glad we have the river. I think it makes it super unique, but it does mix it up a little bit. So I was wondering too if we use the same kind of walkway we just used over there and not actually even make it like connected or like an actual pedestrian walkway, but kind of try to use it like the old quay walls from City Skylines 1, where it's not so much a walkway, it's just kind of a man-made embankment, so that we can have some sort of infrastructure on our riverbanks, and not everything is got to be kind of dirt or rock or whatever. So I think this is kind of a bit of an experiment, but I think it can work, and we can fill all this in with some trees and some rocks above and kind of hide that cliffside. And if it's really overgrown, it doesn't look so much like a path, it might really work out. So let's go ahead and get some of this river stuff locked up. Okay, so I think that actually worked with the way that we've got some space left here, but with the way that those trees kind of covered it up, I think that actually is looking really good. And we got to figure out what to do on this side over here. If we want to leave it more natural or kind of make it match a little bit. That side's a little more industrial, but I think that overall it's just looking much better. I'm really liking how much more urban and intentional this feels. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to do was take a look at this highway over here. So we've talked about this great entryway to the city before, and this awesome view kind of driving up this highway area just is really great. And there's this nice little canyon here, and I kind of try not to shoehorn things in, but I want to shoehorn something in here. So one thing I've been kind of thinking about is just getting an overpass right here. I don't know that we need one here necessarily, but it just feels like such a natural place for one, given the way that the canyon walls go here. There's kind of room for it on both sides, and the tricky part is going to be, where it goes from here. But I just feel like having something like this in here really is a nice look. I think anytime you can play into the existing topography, and if you've got, a sunken road, put something over it, will feel pretty natural. So we're going to have to make this work a little bit for us, because, it is a little tight on this right side here, and how we're going to go from, where this is going to lead back down to the street will be an interesting question, but let's just see if we can get this to actually make sense and fit here. Okay, so we've got a bit of an overpass here, and I think in general, I am liking how this looks, but I'm just trying to figure out, do we want to wrap this around this other road here? Like, where do we bring this back down to the street? I don't really like the way that it's just kind of the way it is now, I guess. So the question is, where do we go with it from here? I also want to just clean up this stuff a little bit. I think this got a little jammed into not a long enough area, so we can just kind of work this down. Let's just delete these and grab our slope tool, and I kind of am always in denial that you kind of need to make the slope tool work for you instead of just being able to drag like a nice smooth road. But using the slope tool really ultimately does go a pretty long way into getting kind of the smooth, at least the gradient level that you want, or the slope level of the road you want. So if we can just kind of get this in here like that, I think we'll just switch this going the other way. And yeah, that certainly feels quite a bit better. Let's see. So that I think is working. And then I think we can probably bring all of this down a bit. Let's see that. I think we have plenty of clearance still. There's no trucks going by, but I think that's going to be plenty, and kind of makes this feel quite a bit better. So we'll just lower this over here as well. And that's looking okay. Let's kind of move this tree. We can flatten this one a little bit. And yeah, it's looking, maybe just move, kind of tighten up this angle here a little bit. Just kind of massaging this around until we get it feeling a little more how we want, or just how it feels good. This is looking super janky though. Let's see. Just slide that over. That's kind of a weird slope. Let's see. It's just, again, like I said earlier, let's just go ahead and kind of, once you know what you want, just kind of drawing it again is going to end up oftentimes with just much smoother results. Case in point there, and case in point here. So let's just try this one. This one should be pretty smooth. Yeah, that certainly feels a bit better. And we'll do quite a bit of landscaping around this to fill some stuff in. But yeah, let's see what we can figure out for this kind of road off to the side and how we want to bring this into town. So let's just get rid of this, because I think that was not quite working. but I think we can maybe wrap this around a bit. Let's see, kind of curve this down and join it up with some, make this kind of a bigger intersection. That already feels better for kind of this wraparound road. And I wonder, in terms of this big flat area, let's just go ahead and extend that a little more, because I think this was not at all my intention, but now I have an idea for, again, back to kind of levels and creating some dynamic landscape with elevation. I think if we just go ahead and kind of create another layer here, kind of create this step area, and then we can get these alleyways, and let's see if we can just kind of bring some roads out here, and we'll bring one kind of down along this way, and then let's see if we can where we connect this guy up right about here, and that's a start. I think maybe so basically I think we can turn this into a really cool layered single family home residential kind of overlook. Kind of it's similar to the way that a lot of I think there's some stuff like this heading into Seattle, going south to north on the Highway 5. South of Seattle, you'll see the highway kind of cutting through these very foresty, kind of semi-residential areas. So I'm just going to go too deep and lay a bunch of these down so that we can start stacking these up a bit. And I think as hard as it is to work on slopes in this game, I think if you do these steps where kind of this row behind these homes is just a few feet up rather than like a big chunk, you just kind of get these layered steps. So we'll put another road here, and I think what I'm saying will make a little more sense. So we can just kind of get a road in. Let's turn snapping off like there about. We'll get it here. There we go. And so like that's not all the way above the homes in front, right? It's just like halfway up to give the homes behind it a view, and just to kind of keep the elevated nature of a hill and make it actually feel like it's, going up a bit. So that I think is working really well. And then I'm going to go through here and just build out this whole residential area up here. All right, so yeah, that was definitely not the plan when I first put this overpass in, but I think this neighborhood looks awesome. This is actually now one of kind of my favorite places in the city here. It just feels really kind of natural and organic. I love the little gas station convenience store tucked in here. I just am really stoked on this and was totally not in the plan. I do think there's a little bit of a drop off here in front of these houses, that down to this road below is a bit of a drop, but I think this is kind of the best I've been able to kind of work around elevation and these type of homes. And I think these feel great because they feel urban, but they also feel, you know, like a little residential. And yeah, that's an extreme bit of a drop off, I think. So let's actually just go ahead and we're just going to move this road out a bit. I think that will be fine and create a little more space, and maybe we even let's kind of keep moving this. And oh, it looks like we messed up that intersection on the side there. Yeah, that's looking jank. So let's just get rid of that, and we're just gonna actually make 2 intersections here. I think we'll kind of be fine. And yeah, that hill already looks like that looks much better. It's still a bit of a hill, but once we get some trees and some nature on there, I think that'll go a long way. So that is feeling good. And then this is looking a little tight here, but maybe we just end up pushing this railroad over a bit, or maybe we get an underground section here. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with this bit of a janky episode. I have figured out the sound issues, so we should be back on track next time. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. Bye.